Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? So as a favor to the new Prime Minister, Al-Sadini, for the purpose of this picture, he gave me a call and said, hey, Pimpy, do me a favor. I need to borrow all the Iraqi Dinar that you own so I could take this picture. Wouldn't that be nice, huh, to own stacks like that? So this is a huge chunk of the money that was recovered from the crime of the century. There still is a ridiculous amount that is outstanding. This is why people are getting pissy about the fact that I'm saying that Iraq most likely is going to have to redenominate the currency. Now, redenominating your currency has nothing to do with the exchange rate. What that means is the current image of the currency, the one we are familiar with, most likely will change. Now, this is just my opinion, but Iraq has trains and trains of unaccounted for dinar. We know that ISIS stole a bunch of them. We know that criminals stole a bunch of them. And if there's too many out there in the hands of corrupt people, you have no choice but to redenominate, create new currencies, and then tell the citizens to exchange their current currency for the new currency straight across, even Steven. What you might see happen then is the deletion of the zeros. So they might have a new lower denomination that you can exchange for your higher denomination. So in other words, if they delete the 3 zeros, well then 25,000 dinars becomes 25 dinars. You still have the same equal value, they're just lower in denominations. And that might be something that they're considering. Now, that has nothing to do with the exchange rate. And that doesn't mean you're losing money in your investment. That just means that they've removed the zeros and they've redenominated, and the currencies have a new look to them altogether. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. And if you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Money Metals Exchange. The link will be down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code PIMPYSILVER. Yes, it has changed. PIMPYSILVER. So if you're watching this video and it's an older video, make sure you check on current videos, because the code is going to be changing from time to time from now on. Also, I can be found on other platforms. Everybody knows I have my own website, Pimpy's News Network. Over here, I post videos that I can't get away with over on YouTube. Also, I have a group on Facebook called Pimpy's Investment Chat. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. Come on over here and join us. It's free to do so. You can also come follow me on Twitter, MeWe, YouTube, and Odyssey. The links for all these platforms will be down below in the description. So for whatever reason, if I get removed off of one platform, you could find me on the others. So a couple of things. Yes, I hear there's still more chitter chatter about the exchange rate. And yes, there's a lot of misinformation still going on out there about the Iraqi dinar. I've had several of you guys send me the link to the Truth-a-thon that took place the other day as a 12-hour session, which I had a chance to listen to a bulk of it, and I understand why you guys have so many questions. But I did address what Mark Z said in a separate video. It is on the platform for those of you who are wondering. Now, again, I don't have anything against these people. We just don't always agree on things, so it is what it is. But I did want to make some corrections about information that was being shared. One, about the full exchange rate being reinstated. That's not the case. The talk that's out there is about them going back to the old rate of 1,190 dinars per dollar. The other thing is a hydrocarbon law has not been signed. That's not accurate. It was agreed upon in 2007, but we know what happened. Things have changed. The Iraqi Supreme Court struck it down, saying it was unconstitutional, and they have been renegotiating all over again. The statement that the whole world is pushing Iraq to change their exchange rate, other countries are trying to force Iraq to change their exchange rate, is inaccurate. countries don't usually get involved with people's exchange rate unless they're trying to manipulate them, and that's not the case with Iraq. But even if they did make an exchange rate change to something like $3.22, it doesn't do us no good, because you have to have a place to go swap it. We have to make sure that they're off the restrictions, so that's something we need to keep an eye on. Anyways, let's get into the latest and the greatest. Anytime we see the World Bank buddying up to countries and their politicians, it's not a good thing. They are part of that whole New World Order movement. Sudan to the World Bank. We are working to turn poor groups into producers in the labor market, which is good. The Iraq medium age, you can see right here, the total population is about 42,548,000 people. So the median age in Iraq is 21. What that means is this is that age where half the people are above it and half the people are below it. That's the halfway part, which is good because half the population is right at that working age. So other countries would be interested in investing into Iraq because there's a lot of potential there. There's a lot of young people getting to the age of working, and that's what you want when it comes to your country. So 21 years is pretty young, and that is the halfway mark. But again, that's really good for corporations and businesses that want to come in and do work within Iraq for them to have a median age of 21. So you can just see right here in the beginning, it says Iraq Prime Minister Soudani confirmed on Sunday that one of his government's priorities is to transfer the poor groups from recipients of social aid to people active in the labor market. It just goes back to what we've been discussing, and that is, look, you want as many people off of financial aid as possible and as many people back to work as possible paying taxes. So you go from a government who is giving out money to a government who is going to be taking in money is what happens. Al-Sindini also pointed out that the meeting also dealt with the development of ambitious programs aimed at implementing reforms in the banking sector and in the development of the private sector, as well as supporting government programs to face climate change. I swear, every time I hear that, it drives me crazy. The meeting discussed the implementation of joint programs in the field of youth employment, unemployment alleviation, and the development of social protection programs, as well as the establishment of the Reform, Recovery, and Reconstruction Fund. The Prime Minister pointed out that the government's priorities based on the social and economic needs of citizens and its intentions to transform the poor segment of recipients of social welfare into effective people in the labor market through deliberate and realistic plans. Again, this just sounds like a continuation of what Al-Kadhimi was doing, so it's nice to hear. The only difference is Al-Sindini actually has a lot more support than poor Al-Kadhimi did. So this is good news. The Parliamentary Finance announces the completion of the touches of the budget and its transfer to Al-Sindini's office. So now that they have it and all the final touches are done, they hand it out to the House of Representatives. Even though they are on recess at the moment, you could see a scenario in which if they have an opportunity to go ahead and pass this budget before the end of the year, they will call an emergency session and vote on that sucker. It'd be a great way to start the new year. The central bank launches an electronic platform for buying and selling the dollar next month. So this is going to probably alleviate a lot of the corruption involved with the currency auctions. Now, there's no guarantee. God only knows if it actually is going to work, but it should. There's a reason why a lot of the segments within Iraq hate updating, hate being modified. Because the way the old methods work, it allows corruption to run rapid in that country. So the more they become updated on changes that are necessary for them to collect fees, for them to collect taxes, for them to monitor what's going on inside the banking industries, for the port fees, all those types of things. If they can find a way to do them electronically, automated, then the less likely we have of corruption. So anyways, this is going to be launched in this month here, if it hasn't already. It directed banks to more scrutiny of dollar customers, which led to the rise in the currency, but it was slight and took more than its range, expecting that the central banks will control the price of the dollar in the next 2 weeks. We know that the central bank has cash reserves that exceed $90 billion, and the Iraqi economy is better than many countries, and that's a good sign. There was a rush to sell the dollar, which led to a drop in the exchange rate a month ago. And what happened today in the central bank without dealing with the number of banks because of instructions from the U.S. Federal Bank, which stopped dealing with them due to money laundering, which created a gap in the local market between supply and demand for the dollar. It's crazy how much control our central bank has of economies around the world. There is actual legislation that says the United States has the ability to control the markets in other countries, not just ours. So we saw the exchange rate of the Iraqi dinar going in the wrong direction. It was somewhere around 1,500 Iraqi dinars for every $1. That's not the direction we want to go into. This is what I was talking about early. Parliamentary legal hints at an emergency session to approve the 2023 budget. So if this thing could somehow get approved by Al-Sadini and then the House of Representatives take a look at it and everybody's pretty happy, you can see emergency session be called in and people vote on it right away. The sooner the better for the Iraqi people. I'm impressed with Al-Sadini. This is not what I was expecting. I was expecting him to be just another one of these clones of Maliki and embedded in corruption, and so far it doesn't seem that way. It said the World Bank is optimistic about the future of Iraq for its rich human and natural resources. This is what I was talking about, that median age for Iraq is 21. So when they say rich in human resources, that is very accurate. They have a lot of very young people that are ready to go work. Said a new decrease in the exchange rate of the dollar against the Iraqi dinar in Baghdad today. So what happened? Well, we've seen that the Iraqi dinar, you get 1,500 dinars for every $1. That's the wrong direction, as I was saying. So they did what they needed to do to make the adjustment, which caused a scarcity in the dollar. So it brought back the exchange rate, making the Iraqi dinar more valuable. You can see right here, went from 1,500 dinars per dollar right down to around the range of between 1,450 and 1,470 per dollar. We want to see that get much, much lower. That's what we want to see. This is also great news. The Iraqi Trade Bank announces the recovery of $1,500 billion. So what they've done over the last 2 years is the trade bank stopped financing projects because there was a lot of fake projects in which people were getting money but weren't accountable for the money that they were receiving. A lot of companies closed down, the money unaccounted for. So they've stopped funding these projects is what happened, and then started auditing, started looking into them. And in doing so, they ended up recovering a large chunk of money from frivolous and corrupt spending. So kudos to the trade bank for doing so. So as I was stating before, the HCL law is not been signed or agreed yet. It says the Kurdistan Regional Government Delegation arrives in Baghdad. Oil and budgets are the most prominent file that will be discussed. So they still have not come up with an agreement yet. Again, the issue is within the Constitution and how you're reading it. It states in there that, they made an agreement that with the existing fields of oil, that Kurdistan would turn over X amount of barrels of oil to Baghdad in exchange for a percentage of the budget. That was the agreement. Where things start to fall apart is Kurdistan found all kinds of new fields to pump oil out of, and they said, no, Baghdad does not have access to them. That's not what the Constitution says. It says we have an agreement on the existing fields, not any of the new fields, and they felt like they had the right, since it's in their territory and they find new oil, to do with it as they want. The Supreme Court struck that down, so now we're back to square one. So anyways, that's it for now. You guys let me know what you think. I got to get a phone call in from Al-Sadini to let me know when I could go pick up my dinar. I'm just teasing. Anyways, you guys look forward to your comments, and I'll get back at you later. I'm out.